Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and a very warm welcome to all of you in this webinar on a very contemporary topic, that is artificial intelligence use cases in telecom. Uh, Dear participants and esteemed guests, you're all aware that NTI has always been the endeavor of NTI to keep conducting webinars on most highly technical and relevant and contemporary topics every fortnight on Wednesday at 11 o'clock. At TIPRIT holds a webinar on some relevant, important contemporary topic. And in that series, today we are conducting a webinar on artificial intelligence use cases in telecom. Dear participants, you will agree that in last few years, the biggest buzzword in technology area has been artificial intelligence. You talk of any field of life, artificial intelligence is there, whether we are aware or not, but it is helping us in every day-to-day life of ours to create a more comfortable way of living, to give us better quality of life. Many of us may not be aware that even in simple Google search, huge artificial intelligence algorithms do take place. We cannot imagine going somewhere without taking help of Google Maps. And there also artificial intelligence is heavily being used. It is heavily built into the system. Sometimes I feel surprised that how accurately the time it has calculated for reaching to a specific destination. And today it is not only showing us the way or the routes, it is also saving our time to avoid traffic. It offers us a alternate path to reach. And in 99% cases, I have found, whenever I have followed it, I have found that the alternate path avoiding traffic has been very efficient and has been very helpful and very correct in Google. I mean, it is no less than a vendor when you really visualize it and when you really think of it. Friends, it all is beneath all this application that is helping improve quality of our life, saving our time, making our life more efficient, day-to-day working more efficient. Beneath that, there's a very strong artificial intelligence algorithm working. It is there. Artificial intelligence is there in every wake of our life, and so is in telecom field. Artificial intelligence coupled with big data can have huge applications in telecom domain as well. And the beauty of telecom sector is that in any case, a large amount of data in the form of CDR, VLR, system data, radio data, etc. is being self-generated. For many other sector, you may have to take initiatives to create the data, to generate the data. But then in telecom sector, huge amount of data is getting generated anyway. Whether you use it or not, it is being generated. So that is the important point for telecom sector, and we must gear up ourselves to take benefit of this huge data that is already present in the system. And there are more than many ways in which this large, huge telecom data can be utilized, can be exploited for the benefit of the customers, for the benefit of our day-to-day life, for the benefit of common citizen. And friends, to discuss that, to elaborate that, to share their experiences and knowledge with that on use of artificial intelligence in telecom sector, use cases in telecom sector, we have very eminent speakers today with us, joining us in this webinar. I'll just try to take name of them. Professor Monika Aggrawal is from IIT Delhi. She has worked in Hughes Software also and in Uppsala University, Sweden also. Shri Jayaram Beladakere from Google has a huge experience in customer services and big data analytics and artificial intelligence. Shri Saurabh Basu from CDOT, and Shri Biswajit Debnath from Reliance Jio Telecom. These are the four eminent, very eminent speakers, very experienced speakers who are going to share their experience and views in on this very important contemporary topic, that is artificial intelligence use cases in telecom. So I take this opportunity to welcome our Honorable Director General Shri Raju Sinha sir for this webinar. I take this opportunity to welcome the esteemed speaker who have been so kind to agree to deliver their sessions and lectures in this webinar. And finally, all my participants who have always been very encouraging participant in terms of numbers and in terms of quality and in terms of the organizations that they represent, who have always made the webinars of NTI very meaningful and very successful. I welcome all my participants, all the participants from all the units of DOT and outside of DOT to this webinar. Welcome to one and all in this webinar. Thank you. Over to you, Siddharth.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the welcome address. Now I invite DG and Head Sri Raju Sinha sir to give inaugural address and announce the webinar open.
Thank you, Siddharth. Good morning to all of you. Delhi and around is a little chilly winter morning, but participants from all corners of India have joined it. So I welcome again all the participants and learned speaker in today's webinar on artificial intelligence use cases in telecom. A very vibrant and contemporary topic, as Atul said. We try to assemble in the webinar to deliberate upon it. Friends, stepping into the AI era, telecom sector looks forward to an exciting and challenging phase. As we had meeting some time ago, in its recent consultation paper focused on liberating artificial intelligence and big data in telecommunications sector. Telecom sector is using, I would say, rather leveraging AI now. This sector generates huge data, metadata, and it will generate even more in 5G, more when satellite-based internet will come, IoT and 6G in the coming future. This all will be changing the telecom landscape. AI provides the key tools for BD analysis and for achieving the ability and security demanded by 5G network and IoT. There is a huge opportunity for AI. Today, critical assets are digitized and connected through application powered by AI ML, and usage is expanding. With AI and big data analytics, telecom service providers can perform network optimization, network expansion, capacity planning, investment planning, operational analysis, and data monetization. We have seen in an article recently, according to NASCAM, AI has the potential to add 450 billion to 500 billion to India's GDP by 2025, accounting to almost 10% of country's 5 trillion vision. Friends, there is no question that AI is essential for network management as 5G rolls out. There is an increased need for AI ML powered automated network to deliver the crowd-like network experience. It is not possible to manage 5G dynamic networks with distributed workloads with a legacy network architecture. AI ML can help quickly identify the root cause of service disruption and ensure minimum impact to customer. I visualize it as a transformation of telecom industry, the way it can optimize resources, improving service quality and customer satisfaction. That's what we'll again see from the speaker when they make us learn more about it. Industry bodies say that critical decisions are based on insight churned out through data analysis only. Use and leveraging AI to analyze big data will improve competition, will decide upon the business processes, operation, and user experiences. AI use cases includes AI-enabled chatbots, security detection to stop fraudulent activities, user-specific recommendations, real-time analytics, and in-network optimization. AI coupled with 5G has the potential to revolutionize data management strategies through applications such as edge computing and network slicing. Data storage will be virtualized and distributed. This AI/ML and many more features will take 5G towards enhanced 5G and further towards 6G. These are the tools on which 5G will ride. As we get opportunity to move around the industry, in the factory or in the research labs, we are now finding great use of AI and big data. But all these advantages come with risk also, which are plenty and possible constraints to AI induction. Data quality, data security, and data privacy are of large concern. Huge investment will be required and standards must be established for interoperability. Managing possible biases caused by biases embedded in data or by biased algorithms will lead to another set of challenges. AI that causes regulatory breaches or legal breaches is another concern to us. This is the one reason why we cannot blindly import an algorithm that works in another regulatory environment. So, friends, security is a big concern as well as an opportunity to work upon it. So, policy for AI in a flexible and future-proof fashion while navigating all the risks, then the policy must ensure that there is a smooth rollout of the necessary AI infrastructure and a suitable framework is created for managing all this. AI adoption also involves incurring high investment cost to develop the computing infrastructure required for model development, training, and integration of AI-based services. Developing the necessary infrastructure will require good policy as well as investment. Many of the participants may be knowing that NITI Aayog has proposed to establish cloud-based AI-specific infrastructure to support varieties of AI workloads in an approach paper, very popularly termed as Aggrawal. That is AI research analytics and knowledge assimilation platform. At the same time, government has also the responsibility. So a skilled workforce to come up with the new demand of AI will also require great thoughts. Our department, that is DOT, has formed an AI standardization committee to develop various interfaces standards and India's AI stack. This stack is to be structured across all sectors in sharing, protection of data, data federation, data minimization, open algorithm framework, define data structure, interfaces, and many more. It will also bring clarity in license agreements to establish clear ownership rights. Who will be owning the data and authority agency to use those data. So these are the few pebbles on which we'll be deliberating in today's webinar. I congratulate DDG ICT and his team at NTI Brit, who have designed the webinar very thoughtfully with perfect match of topic and learned speaker participants. I'm sure we all will be benefited by interacting in the session in this current topic. I declare the webinar open and wish all success. Over to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your inaugural address, which set the premise of this webinar. I heartily thank DG sir, Raju Sinha sir, and Sri Atul Sinha sir for joining us in this inaugural session. Sir, now we will start with the technical session and start with the first session. Dear participants, for the first session, technical session, we will start with Professor Monika Aggrawal, as ma'am has some urgent meeting to attend from 12 p.m. today. We will take up question answer immediately after the session. Friends, now without much taking time, I invite our first speaker, Professor Monika Aggrawal, to take the session on AI in 5G with brief introduction of ma'am. Just let me share my screen. Professor Monika Aggrawal has been professor in Center for Applied Research in Electronics, CIR in IIT Delhi, where she joined as assistant professor in January 2003. She has received the BTech degree in Electrical Engineering and MTech degree in Electronics and Communication Engineering from the Regional Engineering College, Kurukshetra, India, and PhD degree from the Indian Institute of Technology, New Delhi in 93, 95 and 2000 respectively. She was employed with Hughes Software System, Gurgaon, India from 1999 to 2002. During 2001, she was a visiting researcher in the Department of Systems and Control, Uppsala University, Sweden. With this brief introduction, I invite ma'am to share her presentation and take the session.
Thank you, Siddharth. Thanks a lot for this wonderful introduction. Can I share my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Good morning, all of you. As Siddharth said, I am a professor at IIT Delhi, and my area of research is electronics, communication, and signal processing. I would like to thank. My screen is visible.
Yes, ma'am. Your screen is
Okay.
visible.
Yeah, thank you. So I would like to thank Nick Pritt for inviting me for this session and making me speak about this very relevant topic. And I also like to thank Siddharth for providing me this slot change at the last moment. As I said, I work in the area of signal processing and communication. This area is a traditional area. With artificial intelligence, the area has grown and it has given a new domain to this area because information theory and signal processing and many others are the roots of artificial intelligence. So it has provided the researchers of my kind who are working in this area a new horizon. So let me begin with showing this picture to you. I think I like this picture a lot, so maybe I just have used it many times. This picture is actually being AI generated picture. And this was a submission which was being submitted to a competition where the artist this picture got the first prize. And so this is a digital category picture which has been generated by AI software. Then the other participants who had done their own creative work in their own by hand, they contested that this is not the correct thing to do it. But this is an AI generated picture. So as such, none of the rules were broken. And if you zoom this picture and see the intricacy and details that has been captured in this picture is much beyond like what human can do. That is why this has won the prize. Now, what does this tell us? This tells us that the artificial intelligence is it's an intelligence which a machine uh, can do it, and that intelligence and that even the creativity is beyond our it can become much better than us. So basically that is what I am emphasizing, that it is trying to make our machines smarter, maybe more smarter than human, and they are trying to impart, it is this is just a notion which is trying to impart intelligence into the humans. The area in which, as Mr. Sinha and Mr. Atul has just said, so the area in which we can have the problem can be anything. It can be a finance, it can be a biological observable devices, it can be my finding the best path that I go in, it can be the best college that I choose, it can be the best area in which I should study. So the area over which I am applying my artificial intelligence is it's anything. I mean, why this is important? Because traditionally, the way we were solving our systems, our problems, that we were having our data and we were having the computers which we used to program and get the output. Like we used to have the calculator which was doing the sum, I should say x plus y, and it was giving me the answer. As the time progressed, I could work on matrices and many other things, but it was a given program that I had to write and solve the problem and get my output. But AI and machine learning has given me a new domain. Now I do not write the program. I just have my experience and my data, and I make machines to write a program for me, because machines write their own program. So the avenues that they can discover, the modalities that they can find is huge, and I get output as a program. And this program I can apply anywhere and I can get good results. So now there is a catch. I need to have the experience of all the fields to get a better program. Let me give you a very naive example, which we generally use it in the class. When I go to a dark room, after some time, I start seeing. Though everything is dark, black, but still I get to see. Why? Because in the experience, my and with the data, my eyes have tuned themselves to see in the dark. Now the same eyes, if I go into the bright sunlight, also try to see after a while, because the experience and the data has given us a program to my eyes so that they can see. Now the programs are dependent upon the environment and the data. So that is what my artificial intelligence is, that depending upon the environment and depending upon the data, I make the program which can work in that environment and that data. Now, this is what is going to solve many of the problems, because many a times uh, our machines, when we program ourselves, we may not know all the attributes of the system. Like suppose I talk about say 5G only. Now I have my there is a new movie that has come up and it has going to become hit. Now everybody is wanting to watch that movie, so there is a congestion in the network. Now 5G can understand that congestion a priori, because they know that this is an advanced movie, it's a favorite movie which is coming up and it might hit and there might be a congestion, so it can allocate the bandwidth and other resources in that manner. So that is what the program and the beauty of 5G, sorry, beauty of AI that helps us in designing my systems. Now, as I was talking about the AI, it has applications, tremendous applications in all the areas. I mean, these are the few, and the list is much bigger than this. Now, the other advances in the last few decades, the two technological disruption that has happened is a telecom and the AI. The telecom has started from 1G, and I think you all know much more than me that it is now has changed its shape and its flavor. We started with 1G kind of a system where we were just having an analog kind of a connectivity, but now we are going towards 5G is almost there. We are going towards 6G, where we are having machines talking to each other. We are having the driverless cars and whatnot. So that the telecom sector has changed and has seen a complete altogether a different flavor in the coming years. Now with the even with the 5G, we are talking about many of the applications which are kind of making our life much simpler and maybe more challenging. But all this connectivity that we provide has an implication on the on the because now we have this connectivity that we are providing to many of the systems. So we have different kinds of systems which will be connected. There will be a different kinds of data that will be required by them. Every user is not the same, so we need to serve many users in many ways. Like now, if I go and buy my Airtel plan, it lists me 10 plans, 100 plans. But now it's not only me, it's about my machine, it's about my geyser, it's about my car. Everybody will have a SIM card or whatever, a connectivity. So there will be thousands of plans that will be there. And some plans will require a high data rate, and some plans will require a very low latency. Suppose you are talking about a robotic surgery, and you are doing so doctor sitting at home is performing the surgery using on a connectivity of 5G, then you should have a very low latency over there, because even a microsecond delay might harm the person who is on the operation theater. But whereas if you are talking about some very uh, simple problem where I am watching, where I'm playing a game on a 5G or some telecom in the sector, I require a very large data rate, because my whole experience should be, my VR and AR experience should be matched. So every users will have their own different kind of requirement, and I need to serve all of them in a proper way. So quality of the service and the quantity of the service is going to be different as we are going towards the 5G and maybe more in the 6G, because there the complexity will be more. So how do we handle this? Can we handle all this? Because if we have different devices connected, we will have congestions in the network. We will have a problems of the resource allocations and many things. So all this is being handled by AI. It's because AI is designed, or AI is something which is solving our complex problem. I mean, so basically, it is designed in such a way that it is a non-linear system which can solve some complex problem in a simple or in a straightforward way. Maybe I should say a straightforward way, because these models that has been designed for AI are now very stable. So what I feel is the future, in fact, that is what the future is. In fact, the presently it is also happening that the 5G and AI together are the two technologies which will give us a completely new world in which we will be living. The 5G will provide us the connectivity, and now with the connectivity, I can solve my congestion problem, resource allocation, and many more using AI, so that my 5G can exist. My algorithms which are being designed, which are more complicated now, can be designed using artificial intelligence. On the other side, in the artificial intelligence, I can also use the 5G thing, because I have more connectivity, I have more data. Now, as I said that I need to know a data and the environment to work on my artificial intelligence. So 5G is providing me that data for me. And this data is being provided from a various data sources and real time. So this can help me in enriching my artificial intelligence, and the research in artificial intelligence is also being enriched by this innovations of 5G and beyond. So how AI is helping in 5G? As I said, there are many issues which are becoming too much complicated because of the various reasons. And so the performance and the networks is one of the things that AI is helping a lot. So the network management, device management, customer management, everything is being handled by AI so that you can use the benefit. I'll just give you a few examples. Like the previously, when we have got our old phones, we also had this signal that was coming to us, but the signals had less congestion, and even the buildings were not that much. The rural and so the rural and other things were not even there. Moreover, now our those systems was designed only for the calls. Now our systems are having call, data, video, whatnot. So the power that it consumes is, you cannot use the same software which you were using in your handheld on the low end systems. Now the systems have to support many more things, and I don't want my battery to go away if I'm traveling. So I need to have some softwares which can work in a low power mode, and also also can support me high data rate. So all these algorithms I need to design, and these algorithms are being designed using artificial intelligence. As I said, artificial intelligence can provide us a non-linear model in a very simplistic way. So that is why we signal processing people, those who used to design our algorithm by solving the equations, now just design the algorithms using artificial intelligence, because the non-linearity in artificial intelligence is being handled in a very straightforward way. Simply, that another thing is the channel model. When in the telecom, the channel was like a very hard thing to handle. And as we were looking at, we were designing the systems in the previous generations, we were designing the systems based on a Tokyo channels. But now what happens is, you can design now the rural channel, and the urban channel has also come up, and these channel models are very different. Moreover, if you design something with your channel, with some known channel, your channel might be different from that. So you can do a small tuning of that. So all this is possible in a simplified way using artificial intelligence, and the optimal solutions that you get, they are very cost effective and easy to implement. So the channel estimations and other, which are very basic problem of any communication system, has also been solved, is also being solved using artificial intelligence, and providing us a new domain. Moreover, the spectrum, the spectrum is the most costliest and the well sought out of things. And how do I use the spectrum which is allocated to me in an efficient way, so that all the users are satisfied, and the quality of the service is also not is of the required bulk. So this is a biggest challenge for all the network providers and all the users. So this is a big problem. It's almost the same problem as finding the best path for you to reach home. So these problems are, you have large amount of data for these problems, and AI is the best way to get the best spectrum allocation solutions in that. Similarly, that environment and the power management and your security is also a security, and another issues are also being handled using AI. I can go on like this, and there are many other. The most important usage of AI in 5G is my network automation, because you want to make the network smart. Only then your system can be can provide you the real quality of the service. And with coming up IoTs and another uh, there will be large amount of customers over there. So so our network layer has to be AI. So that's what is being done. The network layer in my complete stack is now a smart network layer, where I have a AI implanted in it, so that all my resources, resource allocation, my configuration, and everything is being done using AI. And I have a centralized algorithm which can do it over there. Another issue is in the thing is that the millimeter waves. So now the millimeter waves is cannot, the distance it travels is a question. Now there is a concept of edge kind of a computing, that I do not have to do all my computations on the cloud. I can do some computations on the edge, and then and some computations on the device. So this is what is known as distributed algorithms, which are amalgamation of my device resources, my edge resources. Edge means something which is close to the device, and a cloud is something which is central unit. So I can combine all of them and get very intelligent distributed resources using all these operations which I do on a device or on an edge or on the cloud are together, and they handle the dynamic behavior of the network in a very quick way. So basically, so this edge is something which is helping me out in solving my other problems. Uh, another important thing that is coming up is federated learning. Now another because some of the times people do not want to share their data. The data has some security and the privacy issue. So how do I handle my those issues when I train my AI model? So what I do is I just train my local model on my local system, and then I have another global model which is being trained over the cloud, and I handle that global model over the cloud and train over there. Now to get a unified model, I share my local model with the global model, and I get a unification there. So this way, I'm not sharing the data. I'm only sharing my model with the global model. I kind of get a better model. So I'm saving my resources. I'm saving my data link. I'm not putting all the data, so my the amount of spectrum I'm using is also minimized, but I'm getting a better throughput. So this is a distributed kind of a processing. This is a distributed federated machine learning algorithm, which is also helping us in removing the congestion and getting a better results. Another issues that we are handling is like we can even handle many of the informations in a much better way. I have my phone has many other sensors with me. I have even I have the sensors of gyroscope. I have the accelerometer in it. I can understand my human behavior using the outputs of those sensors. There are some research going on where the phone sensors data is also being used in getting much understanding about the human psychology and even your conceptual information. Suppose I am in a meeting. Now I'm talking to you, so my phone is in a stationary mode. So my phone will understand that there is a meeting going on, so it will not ring. automatically that sense that the phone can get, or the smartness that the environment can get, that is also possible with the artificial intelligence. You learn from the environment and act accordingly. The system performance, the network loading is like amount of data that I need to be transmitted. So basically I can make my devices smart, and I may not need to send my information all the time. So I might, if my devices are smart, if my edges are smart, I my amount of data that I need to transmit is also become less, and my network is not loaded with it. So basically, if I want to use AI in a much sophisticated way, I can help. There are many applications. There is I mean, if you these days, I mean, many of the things that we do is being driven by artificial intelligence. Most of our algorithms are artificial intelligence driven. Now this is what the present scenario is. I am just taking you forward for the 6G case. Now the sixth generation is more unified kind of a telecom system, where where you don't only talk about telecom, you have even a satellite communication, you have all you have even the underwater communication. So it's a unified communication that is being thought of. Moreover, the way the communication over there will work, the kind of congestions in the network that will be there will be kind of a different kind of a. So you when you talk about the underwater, you will be working on acoustic signals. When you talk about the RF, like a telecom, you will be working on a radio frequency terahertz signals, and there will be a light waves also, visible light communication, you have a satellite communication. So all unified communication together will be 6G. So there, even the class of which communication, which carrier do I use, that is also will be a big issue. Now which carrier to be used, and how do I use that carrier in an efficient way, that is which that will be a challenging environment and the challenging open research problems which researchers are now started looking at. Now with this, when we'll be in a 6G, it will be more 6G will be more of machine to machine communication. Now when a machine is talking to another machine, as I said, the requirement is altogether different, and we are having so the number of machines that we have will be much more. So again, the data will be huge over there. So how will we handling that kind of a scenario? For the 5G, we still use artificial intelligence to handle it. But I feel is we need to have much more rugged system, much more a system with much more capacity to handle my 6G scenario. So what I thought is maybe I include that. So basically to handle those high capacity system, quantum computers are the might be the answers. The quantum computers are being developed, and they are uh, providing some help us in providing the security of our security to our data that we communicate. So the quantum systems actually have a very beautiful properties of superposition, that a one bit that we have in a normal I think I just the normal bit that we have in a classical thing, which can have only two values, 0 and 1. It can be either in a 0 state or it can be a 1 state. A quantum system is is a lower than that. It can be in superposition of both. So in my terminology, I the way I can describe it, what I say is you have a quantum systems where your system is in superposition state, and when you take a measurement of it, it becomes a classical system. So quantum system is a more generalized version of your of your classical systems. So this more generalization thing, and moreover, there is another beautiful property of the quantum systems, which is known as entanglement. And this entanglement helps us in so the two bits at a time can be entangled, so irrespective of the time and the distance. I'm not going into the details of it, but this helps us in designing very beautiful algorithms, which is for our cryptography. And this algorithms was designed in 84, and I mean this is the famous algorithm BB84 which was designed, and this algorithm has provided us a very beautiful cryptography and beautiful security between two systems. And what I feel is this compute part. Moreover, as I said, it's a basic systems. It's a lower level system, and as it's a classical system, is just a special case of quantum system. So it has more tremendous power. It has more tremendous power to represent your data and to handle more data. So that is why if I these systems have found their applications in some problems which were not even was not possible to be solved before, like the problems of drug designing, where you had large amount of computations to do. Those problems were not being solved using classical computers, and that now those problems are being solved in the quantum computers. Moreover, as I just said, cryptography, why that quantum based cryptography is being designed, because quantum systems, because they have large compute power, they became threat to our normal cryptographic algorithms, because the polynomial factorization, which was not we were not able to do in in a classical computers. Now with the event of quantum computers, that polynomial factorization can be achieved in a real time. So so that is why our security, which was designed on that polynomial factorization, was at a threat. So that is why we need more algorithms to design. But saying that, my main thing is that quantum computers are providing us tremendous power, and this tremendous power is what we require, because in the coming days, we'll be having large amount of data, and we need to design our systems based on those large amount of data. And many of the hard problems can be solved by these compute power that my quantum systems will provide. And in fact, a quantum machine learning can also is a new area where people are working on, and which can use the amount of data that you have, the real-time data that you have, and it can help us in training and designing systems in a much better way. And in fact, federated machine learning in a quantum setting is also being designed, so that you can do a distributed machine learning with the quantum systems. The only thing is that quantum computers are, I mean, it's just coming up, but the future they'll be there. So the buzzword artificial intelligence might change with the quantum machine learning or quantum neural networks. What I want to say in the end is that congestions, equipment failure, traffic spikes are something which we want to avoid. These are the goals that we want to push in a current scenario. The Internet of Things and the way wireless is changing, it our network will be traffic will take is going to take a different shape, and it's going to be huge and huge as we go ahead. So machine learning and AI is something which can help us in controlling that, and moreover, new technologies give birth when we require more things. So necessity is always the mother of invention. So as the data is increasing, we are going towards a better and better compute thing. Thank you. Sorry, I just had to rush. So that's why I kind of rushed my presentation. Thank you. If you have any other questions, I'll be happy to take.
Thank you, ma'am. Dear participants, you may ask your question from Monika, ma'am, by raising your hand or writing in chat. Ma'am, there is one question. Someone has asked, can you give some examples of robust quantum algo?
Okay, so there are many algorithms of the quantum systems that are being designed. So like quantum machine learning is something which people are started working on, but Shor's algorithm, which was actually being the classical algorithm, which showed that the uh, polynomial factorization. It's something which was designed long back. Even the cryptographic algorithm that I said, BB84, is one of the basic classical algorithm which has been designed, and it is solving our cryptographic problems in a very beautiful way. So this area is kind of coming up, and many algorithms and many models are being tried. So presently, what people are doing is they are using the classical machine learning tools and using some layers of the quantum tools and getting the benefits of that power, that they can get the training faster, they can get results more accurate, the accuracy increases. So that is what is being tried out, because still we don't have a real quantum system with us. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. I think there are no more questions. So thank you, ma'am, for accepting our invitation and taking out your time to deliver this lecture. We would like to see you in our future programs as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot.
Going forward, now I invite Sri Jayaram Beladakere from Google to take session on transforming telecom through AI. I'll just share my screen with introduction slide. Yeah. Sri Jayaram Beladakere brings 25 plus years of global experience in business strategy, product planning, and full life cycle management with a specialization in telecommunications. His work covers all part of mobile operators life cycle, be it design, rollout, optimization, and service assurance. He has deep expertise in service providers, enterprise, and cloud networking, and is well versed in IoT technologies and solutions, including go-to-market aspects, co-development models, and emerging market needs. He possesses a comprehensive understanding of businesses and technology trends and operational considerations, having delivered multiple next generation solutions and managed global portfolio. So with this small introduction, I invite Jayaram sir to share his screen and start presentation.
Thank you. And could you please confirm that you are able to see my screen?
Yes, sir. We can see.
Okay. Thanks for the opportunity and the kind introduction. It's a pleasure to participate in this NTI-PRIT webinar on the use of AI technologies to address salient business issues and use cases in the telecom industry. So I am here as an industry professional, and I want to first of all highlight that part in my disclaimers. So all the views and opinions presented are personal ones, and I am not basing them on any specific company, products, services, or solutions. So it does not represent any part of my current company or my previous companies. And the presentation itself is a very high level general presentation, which talks about the telecom industry trends and then enumerates a range of use cases where artificial intelligence based solutions can offer compelling business value. So with these disclaimers, I will move on to the main part of my presentation. We will start off by identifying the business drivers for this transformation. In the inaugural session, we did hear a number of comments that are very related to this. So I will contextualize it in the way the telecom technologies, access technologies have evolved and what that has meant to the complexity of operations. So that's the first part. Secondly, I will address a number of use cases, practical use cases that come up in the telecom domain, particularly in the mobile operator space, in the areas of network design and operations, network management, and new vertical solutions, whether they are related to private networks, IoT kinds of solutions, or specific security architectures and solutions. And finally, I do want to touch upon an important consideration. Being a regulated industry, trustworthiness is a very basic foundation for AI-based solutions in the telecom space. And one needs to be aware of the guidelines and regulations that apply. And there are well described ethical principles and requirements that need to be satisfied by these solutions. So I will close my presentation with a brief introduction and overview of those topics. So with that, we move on to considering the business drivers for AI in the telecom industry. And on this chart, you will find on the x-axis, which is the time axis, the march of different access technologies, starting from the second generation of wireless to 5G now, and moving on to the 6G and future ones later on. And as part of 5G and later, we are also seeing more and more disaggregation that is going to take place. For example, Open RAN kinds of approaches are being proposed to disaggregate the RAN components. So the components that are of relevance here, software-defined networking and network function virtualization, which have already been in play for the 4G and becoming more prevalent in 5G. CEM, which is customer experience management. How do you optimize the consumer's view and experiences on a mobile network? Then we talked about the integrated vertical solutions that are industry specific. IoT, which can again be vertical industry focused, like transportation, utilities, manufacturing, and such. And 5G itself, brings in a range of considerations. So all of them means that the operations complexity, as represented by the y-axis, keeps on increasing. And that is not viable because the average revenue per user does not necessarily keep on increasing because the access technology evolved from one generation to the other. In fact, you can see that the revenues per customer remain fairly stagnant or maybe slightly increasing, and newer services are the way that the operators are looking to make more revenues, and all of them add to the operational complexity. So the core reason to bring in AI/ML to these considerations is to bend that curve that is shown from the blue curve to the red curve, so you are able to still have a profitable business. So the need for these technologies is very basic for the telecom industry. That is the summary of this chart. Now, when you look at it, what are the strategic imperatives that the telecom industry has, whether it is on the telecom service provider side, whether it is on the telecom equipment vendor side, or whether it is on the hyperscalers who are also becoming part of the whole ecosystem now. There are four one can enumerate. One is improving the operational efficiencies and reducing the operational costs of networks. So that's the very first and most important objective. Second one, as the complexity of these networks have increased and the range of services that they offer has also multiplied, it means that customer experience takes center stage. Managing these diverse set of services on the same infrastructure and still meeting the service level objectives and service level agreements of the different services, I think is what number 2 refers to. Third one, as the networks are being used for these diverse services, we also need to think about how to optimally work and operate the network. So how do I improve the network performance. It could be in terms of throughput, it could be in terms of latency, it could be in terms of more efficient handover, it could be in terms of the power efficiencies that one is looking to achieve. Any of those metrics, one needs to consider AI kinds of techniques to satisfy those business objectives. And new revenue streams definitely have become much more important to the telecom operators, and vertical solutions are being offered. And how do you enable vertical solutions which have great emphasis on not just the connectivity part of the solution, but they also relate to the business outcomes. And business outcomes means generating and capturing the right data, analyzing the right data with the right domain expertise, and driving the right operational steps to get the results that you're looking for. So all of them are driving the adoption of AI and automation. With that background, we will next jump to a range of AI use cases that the telecom industry and the telecom operators can consider. And we will take them up in buckets which correspond to the different parts of the telecom network itself. First, looking at the radio access network, which is the biggest investment that a telecom operator would make, and which also requires updates frequently to comply with the newer standards and newer services support. Energy efficiency is a core consideration here. Newer RAN technologies, 4G and 5G in particular, while they offer better capacity, they also are more power hungry. So how do you optimize the energy consumption profile of the radio access network? For example, when there is high traffic, can you learn about it ahead of time, maybe based on historical data or traffic patterns, and start using more radio capacity to satisfy such needs? And when the demand probably dissipates, you can start conserving the energy. And that's one, say, very specific consideration one can have. Secondly, load and mobility management. As the demand on the networks changes during the course of the day or days of the month or the year, so how do you, and when people are mobile and their traffic is shifting from one radio location to another, how do you efficiently handle the traffic load and manage the mobility to continue to offer the best experience for the customer and make that as seamless as possible, while also maintaining an efficient operational setup for the network? Radio resource optimization is a complex topic, particularly with the disaggregated models considered in Open RAN and such. And there are already various loops that are conceptualized in such architectures using RAPs, FSAPs, such conceptual techniques. And those considerations, whether they are working at the millisecond kinds of scales, whether they are operating at the second kinds of scales, or sometimes even longer time frames, the days and months kinds of time frames, how do you optimally use the radio resource is point number 3. And connected to all of this, with these newer radio topologies, transport is not just limited to providing a dumb pipe, so-called dumb pipe, but it is much more integral a part of the RAN architecture itself, consisting of different parts like front haul, mid haul, and back haul. RAN itself having centralized RAN, distributed RAN, cloud RAN, etc. So transport optimization, which is in alignment with the radio access techniques and technologies, I think becomes central. So all of these drive the utilization of AI ML in the radio access network. And we heard from the previous speaker, Professor Aggrawal, about edge-based use cases, federated learning, and such. They all play a very important role in the radio access network. From here, I move on to the core network and the data centers. In the past, we used to have specialized appliances that performed specific roles, whether it is the role of a firewall, whether it is the point of presence gateway, like a serving gateway or a PDN gateway, and then going back into the internet, deep packet inspection and such functionalities. But in the newer architectures, you see that these are being distributed, functionally distributed, as well as the implementation themselves, even standard-wise, are divided across many specific network functions. And software-defined networking is used to, in fact, organize and orchestrate the end-to-end functionality of these distributed components. So this orchestration requires the knowledge that is based on learned data. So AI/ML is central to resource optimization in a 4G and 5G kinds of a distributed core infrastructure. Then when you have such distributed architectures, their availability and robustness becomes central considerations. The reason for this is, specialized appliances would perform one kind of a role, and you are able to size it appropriately to probably cater to the peak traffic that you may need to support. Now, when the infrastructure itself is virtualized, you may have sharing of compute resources, networking resources, storage resources, and different services that are put together across this virtualized infrastructure, catering to different use cases. All of that requires one to very carefully manage availability, service level agreements, and robustness. So that is number two. The third one, these kinds of architectures also are more complex in understanding the root causes when things go wrong. For example, some say prepaid billing solution may not be performing up to par, or so packet gateway is not satisfying the performance expectations in terms of, for example, catering to high definition video service or whatever. It becomes a complex exercise to troubleshoot on an end-to-end basis to know where the pain points are and how would you go about remediation. I think that is an extremely important consideration, and one can take a step forward. Once you have these kinds of incident detection and faster resolution capabilities, you can turn the problem around and think about getting leading indicators that tell you that some problem could occur in future, so you can start working on addressing them before the problem manifests. So that also is an important consideration in the core network and the data centers. Moving on, looking at use cases in network planning and operations, we touched upon the complexity of 5G with diverse RAN technologies in the different wavelengths that are in use, the set of services that the same infrastructure needs to offer, and their expectations in terms of latency, throughput, etc. So all of this requires very careful network planning. The classical approaches of rule-based solutioning may not work very well, and we heard from Professor Aggrawal about the complexities of, for example, channel modeling itself. So how do you, in fact, understand some of these considerations in a more real-time basis and leverage that in network planning and design, including, for example, if you have remote electrical tilt kinds of capabilities to drive the right trade-off between capacity and coverage. How do you understand the ground realities of what the network is seeing and operationalize some of that through automation? So service provisioning and assurance is in that area. Then in the same area, then ticket handling and faster resolution. This is more dealing with the tickets that are coming from the end users. And how do you, or the network infrastructure itself, for example, could be giving you threshold crossing alerts and alarms and such. So how do you help the network operations team identify anomalies that are really very different from what you are expected to see? If you are looking to address them using rule-based approaches, the knock technicians may be overwhelmed by the number of tickets that they are handling. So how do you help them prioritize the most important tickets and then use AI-based approaches for helping troubleshoot it as fast as possible? That is number 3. And fourth one talks about the end user experience on a shared infrastructure like this. So how do you help the customer derive the best value for their services? And for example, are you able to take steps ahead of time when you are likely to experience some problem? So how do you take any measures or steps to minimize disruptions? For example, it could be mobile connectivity, data connectivity, it could be bandwidth that the customer is getting, or specific applications that the consumers are likely to use, like YouTube or Facebook and such. So how do you take care of those and maximize the customer experience? That is number 4. Moving on to the next part and the last part in this segment of the presentation, we talked about the vertical solutions. So vertical solutions can be Internet of Things based solutions. Telecom operators are very much looking to become the providers of some of these going forward. So as I mentioned, solutions, for example, that could cater to the manufacturing industry, the utilities industry, the transportation industry. Those come to mind, and these require not just the connectivity layer, but they also need to be, the network now becomes the platform for data collection, data aggregation, and probably even driving the use cases that are delivered by the operations technologies providers to end users. So for example, think about a connected car kind of a use case. The telecom infrastructure may be the one that is gathering all the telematics from the cars and providing an interface to an auto OEM, which is then offering the car users unique experiences. So that is point number 1. Secondly, you are also finding that in the context of 5G and later, private networks are becoming very important. And private networks, for example, for ports, you may have a large petrochemical plant, you may have a large manufacturing facility that they need to have their own network. And while the radio technologies may be common with the telecom service providers, some of the core components that they may have require customization for the kind of specific use cases that these private networks need to cater. And end-to-end operations and deployment of this need to be more like a cookie cutter approach, because these private network operators may not have the deep expertise that the telecom network operators have in managing a distributed infrastructure. So that is point number 2. And third one is more like a horizontal use case. I know that there is a segment later coming up, which talks about it. End-to-end security, for example, is a very important consideration. As the network itself becomes more disaggregated and more distributed, more edge components coming into play, and functionality being provided across the entire infrastructure rather than more in a centralized fashion in specialized appliances, how do you guarantee end-to-end security becomes a very important consideration. So in all these 4 parts that I talked about, whether it is in the radio access network, whether it is in the core network and data center, whether it is in the network optimization and operations, or in horizontal and vertical solutions, AI has compelling value to offer in simplifying the network, offering better consumer experience, and reducing the operational complexity and the costs of telecom infrastructure. So I will close my presentation with a brief introduction to the trustworthiness considerations, which are very important to be aware of. So realization of trustworthy AI, this is from the European Commission. There is a link here. The European Commission has published this 7 steps towards trustworthiness in AI. And this is not specific to the telecom industry at all. This is more broadly applicable to all aspects of artificial intelligence based solutions. So, and these form the cornerstone or the foundation for any consideration of using AI in telecom as well. So I will just read out the salient headings here. So human agency and oversight. So we always have human in the loop kinds of models. Technical robustness and safety talks about the capabilities of these solutions to be not going off track because, for example, there is a data drift or concept drift. How do you really cover such systems and offer robustness built into the technical solutions themselves? Privacy, we heard about it from the previous presenters. It's extremely important. Data governance, honoring the national boundaries in terms of localization of data and such. Transparency deals with an understanding of what the algorithm is doing, and it becomes particularly important in neural networks and deep learning based models. Sometimes it can be difficult to know why the model is making a particular recommendation. So how do you understand some of that? The fifth consideration, data is the foundation on which artificial intelligence learns. And so feeding the right data to make sure that the models are able to learn the right attributes and features to deliver the right solutions. And they are not, to the best possible extent, not going to be built on human prejudices. That is number 5. Number 6, societal and environmental well-being are extremely important considerations. So using the AI kinds of solutions should help humanity and all the living beings, environment, do the right things and in the right way. So we do not want to be using it for the wrong purposes. Finally, I think there is a consideration about accountability, who is responsible for implementing these solutions, and there is a clear chain of authority and accountability which enables that the algorithms are satisfying the business objectives and purposes that they are catered to meet. With this in mind, I think the trustworthiness components are threefold. They need to be lawful, that all the regulations and laws need to be complied with. The second pillar really is the ethical considerations. We talked about some of them in the previous slide, and the values that we need to be aware of and be respectful of. Third one, the robustness considerations, technical robustness as well as from a social perspective, about being free of bias and being fair, etc. So these mean that end-to-end consideration need to be kept in mind in deriving AI-based solutions. This implies 3 basic and very important steps: handling the input data that is used by AI algorithms, and any interfaces between human and the machine in that input process need to be well governed. And I have identified a set of considerations here. It could be security, it could be access controls, quality of that data, making sure the data is properly represented, de-identification and obfuscation, and use for specific objectives. You cannot, in fact, use data for an objective that the end user or the consumer has not consented to. And then, very importantly, separating out the training and the test data in these solutions. Second part, development of the algorithm itself. I did talk about transparency, the neural network-based models, understanding them, auditability of those, and how do you protect these models from, for example, adversarial attacks, and monitoring these algorithms to make sure that they are keeping in line with what you are expecting them to do in terms of data drift and concept drift. That is the second part. The third part is how do you, once the algorithm has created its outcomes and outputs, what do you do with that? That is, again, human in the loop is an important consideration here. So how do you make sure that any results and outcomes, any automations that you are doing are well controlled, and there are rule-based, for example, ring fences around what is allowed by the algorithm itself, and how would you enable humans to be better in overseeing some of them, and explainability if certain results are being proposed, actions are being taken, why are they justified, and can you make sure that they are properly audited? And then security and access again is an important consideration. So with that, I close my presentation. I once again thank NTIPRIT for this opportunity. I hope that this presentation give you a high-level overview of the use of AI ML in the telecom network and infrastructure for the diverse set of use cases, and also the trustworthiness considerations that are important for these to be successful in the real life and the real world. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you for a wonderful presentation here. Participants, you may ask your questions from Jayaram sir, as he won't be available for question and answer session at the end. Either you may write in the chat or raise your hand. There are no hand raise, and I can't see anything in chat as well. So, sir, we thank you for okay. Shri.
Siddharth, one question there.
Yes, sir.
Ashish Gupta.
Yes, sir. I have. You can unmute yourself and ask your question.
May I read the question? I guess
you can repeat the question, Siddharth.
Sir, did we implemented any such telco use cases for any customer?
Yes, absolutely. A range of these use cases have been implemented by the different equipment vendors and different service providers. I know that there is a session from Reliance Jio later on. I'm sure that you will hear a number of such use cases from them. Yes, they are very much in practice. It's a journey. Obviously, adoption of AI ML in the telecom service provider industry and the telecom industry itself is a journey. We are very much on that. Yes.
Oh, so now I can ask my question. It's not exactly related, but one thing just wanted to know whether this trustworthiness part is has been taken care in by GDPR, that is by European Commission or something, whether it has been taken care of, or some work is going on that.
Yes, a lot of work is going on in the area of responsible AI. It is also called as responsible AI. It's a very active research area. The considerations that I listed there are all central to it, and different governments, again, I didn't include a slide, but a quick search will point you to a range of initiatives taken by the different regulators and national governments around it. As I share the slide, maybe with Siddharth and team, I could include some of them for your future reference. I will be happy to do that. Yes.
Why I'm asking this question? We had a very recent. This is for information to all. Recently, this Astra. It is a face recognition application that is being now in use for CAF checking. And I have seen in my office that many genuine customers are facing problem because their mobiles have been blocked. And this gives us an opportunity to regulate our own work and possibility of work by DOT and where the NTI can take some lead role in that. Thank you, sir.
Okay, I defer to the NTIPRIT leaders and the participants to probably take that up. Thank you. Thank you for the point. Yeah.
Yes, thank you, sir. Rakesh Mehrotra ji, you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Many thanks, Mr. Jayaram. It's wonderful talk. And Now, I just wanted to find out how do you collect the data? Because data is the major problem for training the machines and doing the artificial intelligence. And that's the toughest part. Of course, Jio and Airtel can do. They have got the good number of subscribers and they can use for internal use. But how do the other industry do work for that? Because there is no rules as on date on doing the data privacy and all those things. And this is highly dangerous. And if you use the algorithms for the US and other things in India, perhaps the modeling may not be the correct. Here, the entire environment is different. Thanks.
Yes, fair questions. In fact, during the inaugural segment also, we heard that telecom networks, from infrastructure perspective itself, I would say, have always generated a lot of data. Now, more data one could talk about is also being probably provided from the consumer side now, which can be used by the telecom operators. So data availability has been, I would say, probably a strength of our industry compared to some of the other industries one can look at. So that's the first one. I'm not saying that all the data that is required is already being collected, but we are, I think, in a good shape because of the way telecom networks were architected. Data collection has been there through telemetry and such. It is being now sent to the data warehouses where you are able to look at the historical data, understand the trending and such, and process it. The use of that data for different purposes, you talked about privacy and, for example, data governance regulations. It is something that is an evolving area. Again, we know that telecom vendors and operators do take steps, and the regulators themselves guide them to take those suitable steps. That is there. As the technologies are evolving, though, more and more data is also being enabled, including the NWDAF is, for example, in the case of 5G and disaggregated core 5G core, there are interfaces that are being exposed now, which allows you to in fact extract even more data from the infrastructure at different levels, whether it is at the virtualized infrastructure layer or whether it is at the applications and services. All of this is being architected, so it is available. It can be improved upon, no doubt, and this will again be a journey. That's going to be probably my short answer, because it's not like you can turn a switch on, everything works. I think over time, more and more data will be generated, more and more will be used for business objectives. That's the way the industry will march on. That is what I really see.
May I ask a supplementary, since you have already worked with the Google and others. Now, the thing is that a lot of Indian data is being taken free. When I sign the Android, etc., I have to say, well, I don't want to give the data. It's for taken. Now, the thing is, this is the way the data, Indian data is being siphoned. And by all the things, whether the apps want only the application data for certain things, they will like to get my directory and this and that and everything. Otherwise, they don't give the service. Perhaps that particular thing is also required to work it out, because we don't now give out data free for anything. It's a money, and we are giving free, and they are thriving at our cost. We have 135 crore population. It's a rich data. So perhaps something has to be done at the TC and TRI level. I've been talking to these guys over there, but again, so do you have any take on that? You may not like to answer. No question on that.
I am, as I mentioned at the outset, I guess I am not at all representing any of my employers, past or present. First of all, I want to reiterate that. But your points are noted, and I understand that different national governments and and transnational entities like European Commissions have taken positions on this, and I expect that the players that are involved will play by the rules that are established by these governments and regulators. That's what my broad answer is going to be.
Thank you, Jayaram sir, for taking out your time and giving this wonderful presentation. Friends, now we will move ahead, and for the next session, We have Sri Saurabh Basu from CDOT, and I will just share my PPT. Yeah. Sri Saurabh Basu is having very vast experience in telecom software products and geo-intelligent products management and delivery. He is also a gold certified cybersecurity auditor. He is recognized for developing telecom solution for various flagship programs of Government of India like BharatNet, Digital India, Lawful Interception projects, Smart Cities, Disaster Resilient India to improve quality of public life. He is one of the key contributor of Common Alerting Protocol and Artificial Intelligence for Natural Disaster Management in ITU and the standardization of Indian CAP profile. Recently, his team was awarded with AEGIS Graham Bell Award 2020 for Tech for Social Good category and Geospatial Excellence Award 2022. So with this brief introduction, I invite Sri Saurabh Basuji to take lecture on AI in for security and disaster management.
Thanks, NTPRT for giving me this opportunity to deliver my talk on AI on the telecom security and disaster management. So let me share my presentation. Just hold a minute. Can anyone confirm that my screen is visible?
Saurabh, yes,
yeah.
Yes, it's visible.
Okay. So, yeah. So thanks once again for giving me this opportunity. So let's come to the my topic. So my topic is AI for telecom security and disaster management. Now, first I will going to talk how telecom security AI can help in telecom security. Some of the use case in 5G and other things has been already talked by Dr. Monika and Jayaram sir. So I'll skip that part and I'll directly come to the other parts also, which in some parts CDOT is doing very good in that. So if we talk about the key areas of telecom security, so you can categorize into 4 main key areas. So starting from product development, operation, deployment, and standards. So suppose if we talk about what security has to be. So if you want to secure telecom security as a whole, so we need to holistically look into the from development to deployment and also the following of standard and certifications. Now, if we talk about the product development, so how we also need to ensure the supply chain. Now, if one of the supply chain component, subcomponent is found to be rogue element or compromised, then your whole product will be vulnerable. Same is the case of if time to time updates, security updates are being made or not in during deployment or during development. So that has to be done. And one of the most important thing post COVID, we have observed people are started working from home and anywhere, anytime working is there. And sometimes they are working from their own devices also. So and they're developing from their own devices, and the code is being repository and the code repository, and the same code is after testing, it has been migrated to the operations and deployment. So thing is that so end-to-end the development process security is also very important, because if any of these such devices is found to be compromised or found to be act as a bad actor, or it is being comes under the attack, so whole ecosystem will be comes under the attack. Now, if we talk about the design, so how that securing we designing, what at the time of the deployment, how the deployment infrastructure we are hardening that. So we are using the cloud, so but cloud and OS and the everything and the virtualizations thing and the every configuration part. So are we maintaining and following every security aspects? So that has to be also ensured. And come to the operations part. So operations part comprise of 3 people. So who is handling the operations? Are they well trained about that? What are the security principle has to be followed? What are the process? Are they the process are well defined? Is it following the compliance audits? Next, what are the tool sets? If the tool set itself found vulnerable, what are if sometimes we are using open source tool without knowing it's that open source tool itself come with some own deliberated vulnerability and flaws. So are we looking into that? And if at all, if any vulnerability found, So how we are going to manage this vulnerability? How do your response and recovery strategy will be that? What are the runtime detection of attack methodology is defined? So is it well planned, well sort of tools and softwares and the process is well defined or not? That also need to be taken care of. Now, moreover to that, standards. So standards, if we follow the standards, standardization of protocols and security assurance and certification, time to time certification of the each and every equipment is being followed, then telecom security is more can be availed in more safe manner. Now, what are the challenges we are facing post-pandemic 5G era? So first point is that resource virtualization. Now the virtualization layer provides the unified computing resource based upon generalized hardware to the layer above, and it's all basis of the cloud natives and virtual network functions and service software. But if the virtualization layer itself breached, so all network functions come under direct attack, which may lead to a disastrous situations. Same, you can say the resource sharing. So same physical server is being for multiple network function and multiple applications. Now there is no such physical boundaries. Now this multi-tenancy of the resources and resource sharing and breaking of the physical boundaries may introduce another risk for the data leaks, data residuals, and attacks. Sometimes we are following the open source without knowing its background. Now, any use of open source itself introduces a new set of security challenges. So for that, we need to keep an eye how consistent and coherent approach is being followed, so that by security by design we can ensure and prevention of the security flaws itself mitigated. Now, another point is most of the technologies are most of the deployment is present day is multi-vendor environment is working. So telcos and other any 5G is deploying, which is a the technologies are coming from the multiple vendor, and we can't avoid it. But in such environment, it is very difficult to coordinate among the security policies and determine the responsibilities which organization is responsible for managing security problems. So how more effective network security monitoring capabilities are being handled, that also need to be taken care of if we want to make our network secure. Now, I have already told work from anywhere and bring your own device culture. Now, post-pandemic, this was increased multifoldly. Now, when employee works remotely, they often use their personal devices and public networks. And sometimes some of the organization important data exposed to the several other vulnerabilities. So not only other vulnerabilities, sometimes they use or download some software from the internet without knowing that it has been already some backdoor is imposed on this software. So such devices will be act as a rogue element, and from this device you are injecting code to your code repository. So it will lead to an altogether supply chain attack. So why this point is so necessary? Because if we want to secure the telecom security, each and every aspect need to be taken care very seriously. Now, for that, one of the concept is zero trust. So zero trust is a security framework that requiring all user, whether he was in part of the organization network or accessing for the outside, every point, suppose some network, your network team who is configuring some network parameters, but he is accessing through his home, and he is using the public through public Wi-Fi and public internet. So each and every time before granting on any access, so authentication and authorization will be done and first. Then after giving authorization also, a continuous monitoring and validation will be keep going, so that any security configuration posture being need to be every security posture and the operation activities has to be well validated and well matched with the policy defined for that. So means you have to validate and authenticate each and every request before granting any access. Now this zero trust can be enabled by some of the other components. Like first, for better handling of the security events. So CM or SOR integration is very much needed in 5G scenario. Like, so what is CM is all about? So CM is security information and event management. Now this is CM is a tool that will collect the data from your various sources and correlate it for a shorter span of time with a defined policy. So some anomalies in activities and some anomalies with crosses the threshold values. So it will trigger the alert, which alert can be immediately mitigated by the defined policies or the SOC team or SOR. So SOR is so in case of SOR, so is automation. So response is also automated. So it will be well defined the response. So if there any event is happened, so how the issue has to be mitigated? Maybe isolating this devices from the network, maybe quarantining device from the network. So this has to be well defined. So SIEM and the SOR is going to be an integral part of this zero trust telecom deployment. Now we are talking about virtualized network functions. So in 5G, everything will be based upon the network functions. So every function will work on the microservice concepts. So micro segmentation and micro perimeter concept is very much essential. So what is micro segmentation all about? So micro segmentation is one of the security network security policy or technique that enables security architect to logically divide your data center into distinct security segments down into individuals workload level and define individual security policy and deliver services based upon that based upon the control policy to the individual unique segments. And to the individual unique segments, micro perimeters has to be allocated. So if at all any attack happens, so it should not impact your whole network, its whole segments. So particular that segment will be can be easily isolated, and other systems should also reliability and the effect its subsequent chain effect can be cut it down. Now one of the concept is a CI/CD, continuous integration, continuous development for the DevOps is being followed by all the industries. Now DevOps, so we are putting security within the DevOps. So it comes at DevSecOps. So security has to be inbuilt integral part of your development ecosystem. So security by design, security by the deployment policies, security each and every steps from development to operational, each and every step, security is going to be the integral part. Now, if I talk about the IAM, so automated IAM. So IAM is basically the identity and access management. So which helps basically IAM helps to managing the user credential and governing access to the any resources and also ensuring the compliance. Now, if we enable the automated IAM, it only not seamlessly updates the user credential, updates account and personal identity, but it will going to also help the who is accessing what and if it allowed or not. So the managing of each and every network. So if there are any anomalies is there, so it can be easily rectified. Next thing is that everything is multi-factor authentication and public key infrastructure based mutual authentication has to be followed. So everything has to be encrypted with public key and it has to be decrypted on the other side. So that it should be so it should be user can easily validate ki whomsoever is sending is a valid one or not. And more importantly, the principle of least privilege. So it's a security concept that maintains user or the entity should have only access to the specific data or resource or application which is needed to complete a particular task. So suppose I want to access to only MS Office, so I should not have access to any other PowerPoint data, PowerPoint or any other Excels. So whatever I think the Excel, so Office 365, if I want an access of Microsoft Word, so I should give on the access to the Microsoft Word, no any other things. So privilege access, so based upon need access principle can be created, so that least privilege to be given to any particular user based upon the need. Now, these are the challenges, these are the problems, and how these kind of security challenge can be mitigated. Now we're coming to, so that has been discussed in my previous slide. Now I'm coming to how AI can help us in this section. Now, if we talk about the legacy security policies, so legacy security things are work based upon the signatures, and they consume high percentage of resource. And so in 5G, you need to provide the ultra reliable services. So for ultra reliable services, the consuming high process is going to be the slow down the endpoints, and it's only prevent the known malware. So it is not suitable for beating zero-day attack. Whereas AI security is real-time response. So it's analyze the behavioral detection through machine learning algorithms and prevent from known and unknown threat also. So that based upon the behavioral analysis, based upon the malicious, some sort of, because today's the cyber attacks are being changed because people are not sending and generic malicious content. So they use a combination of the malicious things, and the attack is being performed. So multiple combination of the attack techniques is being followed for the for attacking anything. So for that, so correlation, pattern analysis, and classification is one of the major challenges. So how we can classify and segmenting and clustering the each and every problem statement and the each and every variable. So that has to be that can be only covered by through AI, and AI ML techniques also facilitate us that. Now, if you so what are the major things in which CDOT is working? So CDOT is working presently. We are working in the three major parts. So one is the AI-enabled endpoint security. So what is AI-enabled endpoint security? Now, as I talk, every person is working in a different, working from their own work from home, and any devices configuration in being made by through a different network. So how this any attack should not be so that the managing person on the end devices should not be act as an enabler of this any attacks. So for that, endpoint has to be secured. So how the AI can enable the endpoint security is more robust manner. Now AI models and AI techniques can help us to derive the risk scores based upon the behavioral pattern, what is their geolocation, what the time of logins, and other variables. And not only that, there are other things, the endpoint, what are the software being installed, the software installed is at all needed in the systems or not. So this all kind of things can be monitored parallelly. So based upon that, endpoint can be secured, so that when they are plugging to the core network or the telecom network, so it should ensure the all kind of security. Next, another part is that AI enables SIEM. So when you are talking about the SIEM, so SIEM, I have already told what is SIEM about. So in general, SIEM, it's a manual correlation. Now sometimes we are not able to find out the dark spots or blind spots. So manual analytics, manual policy driven correlation won't act if you are going to handle huge data in very small time. So for that, some abnormal, so there may be some blind spots. So how to handle these blind spots, that we need to taken care of. So for that, some of the user, so based upon the pattern deviation you are, or the activities deviation, what user generally does. So suppose, just like if I give an example, there is an abnormal increase in user risky activity, just like change password. It's a risky activity. So if the user changing the change password very frequently, just like some parameter changes and configuration change, it's a risky activity. But frequently user is doing this such activity. So these are the, and if it is abnormally increasing such activities, so it can be easily detected by AI enabled things. Just like any remote activity which is not allowed or trying to connect remotely and at the odd hours, which is generally not anything. So it can get alarm. so that at least we can validate it's a SOC team can validate this authentic one and say type of attack is going to be performed. Now, what is the similarly we can so some sort of users, some sort of clusters are doing same kind of behavior just in a bank. So bank in that there may be multiple cache officer and all are doing the same kind of operations. So similar kind of users are doing similar kind of operations. So based upon their set of operations, we can detect the user behavioral. So we can create a cluster of the behavioral cluster based upon their similar kind of activity. So based upon this activity, if there is a deviation, so normal similar, if there is a change in the analogous change and deviation from their usual behavioral cluster, then you can raise an alarm. So this kind of can only be possible if we use AI and ML techniques. Next, one of the major thing I wanted to talk about, that is trust assurance of the how AI can be used in the ensuring the trust assurance of the telecom products. Now, so how a trust assurance can be? So everything is interdepending. So if you are deploying any software, so we are not each and every company, no organization is developing every software from scratch. So they are taking something and some underlying dependency is there. Just like last year in the month of December, there is an attack on log. There is a vulnerability found in log4j. So log4j is a service, is a package which is used by many of the software. Lots of software is used the log4j for logging purpose. So all the software is using the log4j packages. But in month of December, there is a log4j vulnerability. Now, so there is a 3 stage. So when the vulnerability is found, then the concerned organization provide a patch, and after giving the patch, when you are actually patching in your production. So there is a 3 point of view focus. Now, if you found log4j, how to prevent the 0-day attack? So once you get log4j vulnerability was there, so some of the that is published in the black web or any other social media or any other feeds or any other vulnerability database. So you just accumulate the data. So there may be tweets, there may be feeds from other sources, there may be feeds from black webs, and there may be any vulnerability database of NCPC or Mitra attack database. So and Cisco Thalos database. So in the threat intel database. So based upon this database, you just correlate what are the underlying dependency where log4j is used, so that you can prepare. You should be come up with your AI can help you with preparing, the analyzing the what are the taking and the correlation of the feeds and finding out what are the dependency in that. Now, if we talk about the AI will allow to superiorly predict the intelligence and curates the data by own scrapping through other articles and the things, so that it can be accurately predicted the cyber threat. Now, based upon finding of the log4j usage, we can directly give an alert to the SIEM, and the SOC team will immediately update and the network administrator and the relevant configuration management team and network team, so that to immediately patch the updates, so that there should not be, so the gap between the release of patch and the patching should not be drastically high. Or if there is a no patches released yet not, then users should be well aware of the notifying. So some of the attack pattern was found. So SOC team will be updated how this kind of for log4j vulnerability, this is the attack pattern. So if such kind of activity is being performed in CM, so accordingly CM policy being updated immediately. So it will act as a cyber early warning system. Similarly, one of the thing is this for ensuring trust assurance is the how we can protect our telecom environment from the supply chain attack. Now we are taking product from multiple SIMs, commercial software products, or maybe open source supply chain, or any foreign source product is also there, which is also a threat because some of the things that. So in which there may be some stolen code signing certificates may be there, or maybe some specialized code which is already shipped in the hardware component, which will enable us opening the backdoor. some pre-installed malware is already malware is pre-installed in your devices, or any software which is already compromised some of your software development tool. So you are using some of the compromised software development tool, or the tool having some vulnerability that you are not aware of. So such kind of problem may lead to supply chain attacks, like data breaches. It lead to malware installation and monetary loss. Now I'm giving you an example of the one of this supply chain attack where what we are trying to protect from telecom infrastructure. Now so attacker is attack your software vendor. So when they are developing, so their development process is not well secured enough. The security practices is not followed properly in their development scenario and packaging the software. Now attacker made an attack and place a small piece of code which will be packaged and made available to the software package. When you download it, so infrastructure of the target, when you download and install, it basically you are updating the manipulated software packages. So it may do any data exfiltration, or you may do any some sort of backdoor is open for targeting the infrastructure where who is actually installed the compromised software from your software, one of your software vendor. Now, one of the supply chain, I am going to explain another some use case scenario of the supply chain attack. Like in Git, so most of the cases we use the Git open source library. Now in open source Git library, we found some code and okay, we found in Git lib. So we download it and we pick merge it on the code repository. Now in some sort of open source library, it's some additional malware is inbuilt in that. So it is when you inject in code repository, now it is activated in code repository. Now when you sending the testing tool, so testing tool is having the data code credential to the testing tool. Now attacker will steal credential from infected testing tool. So you are using some testing tool which is already infected. So the testing tool will allow the attacker to get the credential from the testing which you used for the testing. Now in the deployment scenario, same the compromised application is being deployed. So thus, if the testing tool itself is compromised or is not security update of the testing tool is not deployed properly. Okay, just this is some sort of example. If you talk about the SolarWinds, so SolarWinds is some kind of happened in 2020 and the famous thing. So network management solution and provided by the SolarWinds. So it's having a supply chain attacks. So supply chain, they some of their updates come, and the updates itself some inbuilt malware is inbuilt in that, and it has been installed by there lots of clients. So all the network clients is being impacted through that. Now. Software dependency. So suppose you are developing something, we are taking libraries from the cloud from the internet and use it. Now the library itself found to be some malicious dependency. Well, malicious code is embedded in that. Now your whole software is now going to be compromised. So you need to define the SBOM. So so just like in hardware, bill of materials we prepared. Similarly, we should map a SBOM in that. So how this supply chain protection can be made? So through this, we have building a trusted supply chain ecosystem. We are working on that. So it will be based upon the DLT through that your SBOM. So whenever you are adding something in your software code, some new libraries, so it will be act as a blockchain. So it will detect. So if there is a vulnerability, so it will be automatically analyzed to early warning system, and the supply chain manager and the product manager will be immediately updated. So AI-based analytics engine will analyze the various information feed, and the supply chain manager will be updated so that the relevant patching can be made, or the selection of the trusted product and subcomponent of the supply value chain can be ensured, through which the telecom supply chain security can be maintained. Now, this is the all things we are doing in the telecom security part as of now. There are other also work also that, but this is the major thing I want to discuss over here. taking into time constant. Now I'm moving to the what are some of the things we are doing for the disaster management using AI for disaster management also. So you most of you must be aware, CDOT is developing and already deployed the common alerting protocol based integrated alert system throughout the country for geo-targeted alerting, for disaster alerting through SMS, cell broadcast, TV, radio, multiple media. Now, how AI ML can help for managing the disaster in a better way? Now, AI can be used for giving better forecast, preparing better hazard maps, the vulnerable areas where the people need to be alerted very quick, the evacuation need to be made post flood. What are the decision support system to be placed in the controlling authority, maybe district controlling room, maybe the emergency controlling authority, emergency control operation center at the state level, and how the effective communication will be made. So how the two-way communication to be made between the AI. So every time it's one-way communication, the government to reaching to the information, but the person in the ground, the communities at the ground level may also have some information to communicate. And whatever the information is being communicated from the authenticated source or government or the disaster management authorities, are they really meaningful? Are they really helping them? So that need to be also look into how AI can help in resolving these issues. Now another aspect is chatbots. Now every time lots of people are chatbots not only used for the customer support and all. So chatbot use case can also help in people in managing disaster situation. Also they are guiding them what they need and what to do if they are feeling distress, if they are not safe, if they need any help. So that chatbots can also help. So that's why AI can also AI is playing a big role. So disaster management cycle, most of you are all aware. So I'm not going to think that it's having a 4 different parts. So early warning to response, recovery, and mitigation. So basically, the PM has given a 10-point agenda for Honorable PM has given a 10-point agenda for disaster risk reduction, but it is specifically point number 5 and 7 highlights that we should leverage the technology to enhance the efficiency for disaster risk management efforts and utilize the opportunity provided by the social media and mobile technologies for disaster risk reduction. So utilizing this, we are sending the disaster warning to the last mile citizens. But does the information really help? Are the information really helping them, or something they are wanting to upload? So we are giving forecast about the natural disasters, but what about the man-made disasters? Suppose in some in my nearby area, in some house fire broke, but there is no method for alerting the nearby houses so that they can take the necessary action or prevention. So for in these cases, AI can take a big role. So ITU is formed a focus group under study group 2 or AI in AI for natural disaster management. So in that 3 specific domain has been defined where AI can play a major role. So AI for effective communication. So how effective communication can be made? Now AI for modeling. So how the forecasting and the projecting and hazard map building can be worked out, and AI for the data. So through which data can be captured in the right way, so that will help you in the monitoring and detecting about any disaster. So data is a collection and monitoring and handling. Now, if we talk about the how AI in disaster management, what will be the AI model should work upon? So you have lot of data inputs, like you have the vulnerability measures, like population density, social vulnerability index. So disaster management may not be techniques may not be same in all different parts of the society. Now in congested area, of the highly dense population area, disaster management technique has to be defined. Now though the area is population similar population is made in a city where the most educated people resides, and in slum area where the population density is same, but the thing is that they are not that much literal and that much tech savvy. So social vulnerability index has to be also taken care of in. And the information, the social media, just like for natural disaster, when fire incident case, I have giving an example. So how the social media and the trusted news source can be act as an important inputs for the AI models. Now geohazards maps, what are the public? So if there is a hazard, so what are the nearest point of nearest hospital or nearest police station or nearest fire brigade station or nearest high place in case of flood, and the historical data. So what are the last flood happened? What are the maximum elevation, data elevations, and what is the data elevation? What is the highest flood level? And what are the how much the flood what is the drainage system to drain out that much of water, how many days is taken, what are the average rain inputs. So this data will help us to predicting a proper hazards maps and the risk analysis. Next are the other infrastructure and resilient metrics, just like how the power supply. So in mitigating the disaster, restoring of the power and the telecom is the most important thing. Because without having this, the rescue and the response operation cannot be performed properly. Because without in nowadays scenario, without communication, everyone seems like a they are having nothing. So thing is that so how the infrastructure and resiliency matrix has to be prepared, how the power and telecom sectors has to be planned, and how the alternate method has to be worked out. So if is an ad hoc network to be established for managing disasters, so what the telecom circle, what this telecom tower to be placed. So these are the things. So where the AI models can help us to finding out the risk analysis, impact assessment, and what is the community resilience, and finding out the effective disaster management policy. So here some of the models we are developing, some of the models are other agencies developing, through which in ITU we are coming up with the findings how AI can be best utilized for mitigating disaster risks. Now some of the use case I'm going to explain over here. Now as per the UNDRR 2021 work program, one findings has been there that early warning information is very useful, but it is observed most of the cases public didn't respond to the warning information for many reasons. So what are the reasons? So maybe I'm not I don't understand English and the warning disseminated English. Maybe I'm in southern part and I don't understand that Tamil language or such any other southern languages, but I can read Hindi and English. So the language difference is a barrier for understanding the warning content. Now some of the thing is that if I at all understand the languages, the message is not very clear. So what accent to be taken by me? Proper accent, proper instruction, and accent was not suggested. Now lack of attention, was that interest and irrelevance. So if keep alert is coming into in my mobile handsets key, it's heavy rain is coming and you are doing this. So frequency. So how frequent you are alerting? So suppose if we give me very frequent alert, and that is not impacting my day-to-day life in that manner. So after some time, it will be found really irrelevant for me. Next, in some cases, proper media is not selected. Just like when we are working office, most of the cases, and just like we are all attending webinar. So at that time, if we give an SMS, so we'll see the SMS after when the webinar is going to complete. But if you use a cell broadcast, it will give a proper alert, sound, beep. So it will come into notice. Or if I put my phone kept away and I'm sitting in the webinar, now one pop-up come on the screen because you have installed a browser or notification mechanism. So one pop-up will come into the your screen. There is a warning and there is an earthquake in your area. So please evacuate. So prompt actions. So which media to be utilized and how they ensure the audience. Just like in the evening, most of the people are returning back using watching TV, not using mobile. So in sending of SMS or cell broadcast, if you give the alert through the TV, it will be more helpful. Just like farmers. So in lightning, every year lot of farmers dies due to lightning, mostly in the state of Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, and Odisha, and Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, even in Assam also. So thing is that key at that time, so it has been observed ki when the farmer is doing farming and cultivation in their farm fields, they used to keep their radio on for listening music. They're not using mobile, or if they are using mobile, so they are putting on their mobile radio. So that's they keep listening the music and they are doing their regular work. So if we, instead of using mobile SMS or cell broadcast or TV, if we use that at that time, if we send alert through a radio broadcast, so that lightning alert will actually reaches to the who is actually need to be alerted. So this kind of research and prediction can be only being done through AI model. Now, if we develop a early warning system, so early warning system is not only about the warning dissemination, it's also comprised of having proper risk knowledge and assessment of that. If at all the risk is going to impact of someone or not, and if it is going to impact, what is the prediction? So if I told that there will be heavy rain all over Delhi and NCR, so it won't going to help anybody. But if I pinpointedly told it is going to rainfall in Ghaziabad area, so Ghaziabad, and there may be this much of rainfall may create urban flood, so which leads to I'm finishing in 2 minutes. Sorry, this is one of the last slides. Yeah, so this kind of effective citizen-centric early warning system can be employed. So what I'm saying, so dissemination of wording is not in the point. So you can take the response from the public, so that public engagement and community outreach will also help. So on getting response, so if you get response from a lot of users, so how are you going to handle? So during disaster, a lot of people, I need help. Five people are stuck in this area, and they used to tweet, because Twitter, Facebook, WhatsApp are nowadays more familiar than any other channel. So if we do an analytics on the social media feeds, and this will help our disaster managers for giving proper action in the right time, in the right manner. Now, one of the things I have already said, social media analysis and AI chatbot, I have already explained. So as Jayaram ji is also saying about the responsible AI. So I want to just add one line why responsible AI is very much needed. So I'm explaining the supply chain attack, but all of you must be aware of the called AI poisoning. So it's poisoning the AI data. It is the attackers are attacking your AI models. They're poisoning the data sets through which you are training your AI models. So when you use if you use the AI poisonous AI model to train your data sets, and the result what will come, it's not accurate. It's misleading. Even the scammer can be use it for giving some biased result. So through which though you're using AI, but you are not getting a good result. So just like if you talk about that, you must be heard of the AI Trojan, AI black doors, or such kind of security attacks. So so AI has to be used very responsibly and ethically, so that AI can be used in the right direction with right manner. With this thing, I want to close my session. Thank you. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer. Sorry, it takes.
Thank you, Saurabh ji. We will take up the questions at the end of the session. Okay. Right now, we will move ahead with the session, and I would invite Sri Biswajit Debnath ji from Reliance Jio to share telecom service providers' perspective on the use of AI. I'll just share my screen for small background. Sri Biswajit Debnath from Reliance Jio has more than 17 years of industry experience, including 7 years in Jio. He's a technology enthusiast and a seasoned software professional, having wide experience in development and delivery of real-world products and solutions. By using technologies like robotic process automation, AI, ML, web development, IoT, and computer programming languages. So, Viswajit Debnath ji, you may share your screen.
Yes, I hope my video is clear. You can see me. Good afternoon,
Yes.
everyone.
Yes, Viswajit ji.
Yes,
Good
I am
afternoon.
sharing my screen. Is
Yes,
my
it is
content
visible.
visible?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so first of all, thanks everyone and good afternoon. I am very happy to share this content with all of you today. I am Biswajit Debnath. I am a master in computer science engineering. I have around 18 plus years of experience in telecom domain. And I have been doing, a lot of network automations and system automation pertaining to network, its efficiency improvement with the help of various technologies. And of course, AI and ML is one of those technologies that we have been using in telecom. So before my session, our distinguished speakers have taken multiple.
Sorry, Vishwajit ji, your screen is not properly visible. You can share it again.
Let me do it again. Can you see it now?
Yes, it's visible, but 1/4 portion of the screen is occupied with PPT.
Is it coming now?
No, it's not in full screen.
Let me share it again.
Yes, yes.
Now can you see my
Yes,
screen?
now it's fine. Now it's fine. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, okay. So, so they have touched upon very important aspect as I was observing. Madam Monika from IIT Delhi, she was touching the use of quantum computing and edge computing as well as using of edge cloud in the application of AI and ML for 5G and 6G. And Mr. Jayaram Rameshji has touched upon the use of ethics and trustworthiness for the use of AI in different applications, as well as Mr. Basu has discussed about safety and security as well as risk mitigation about using those applications. These are very important aspects. They have covered very, very important things. So I will touch upon what are the some of the practical applications that we can use in telecom service operators. So I'll move into the next slide. Here I will share what are the scope of AI in telecom service providers. For developing any AI system, what are the key stages that we do? Some very popular AI ML libraries that are in use by AI and ML enthusiasts across the industry and academia, and some major use cases that we are using. It's an evolving field. Some use cases are started to get used, and some use cases are yet to discovered actually. So we always try to evolve what next we can or what more problems we can solve using this new technology. Then some real use case like how we can predict the utilization of network so that we can foresee if there is extra traffic jumping into our network, and how with the help of AI and ML we can optimize the network to withstand certain unexpected traffic. Then there are different methods called classification and clustering. Using that, we can identify which all things are healthy and which all things are unhealthy into the telecom service providers network. so that if you find some unhealthy things, you can take quick action, a kind of a closed loop automation system which can enable auto healing process, so that unhealthy things can become healthy and make the network steady and robust. Then AI is also helping with the help of RPA technology for 5G network building. So 5G has many new components like network slicing and uh, mostly this millimeter wave and ultra high bandwidth requirements. So all these things. So AI itself is okay, but it is also required many other technologies supporting it to support many expansions. So RPA is one of the things that can be used along with AI to support the 5G and 6G expansion. Then some closed loop automation platform where we can reduce the human intervention to a maximum extent, because the scale is very high. So we cannot have this many human resources for for detecting a problem and solving a problem in a quickest manner. Then use of AI and ML for detecting any anomaly in the configuration of the network elements, because network is very high, huge, and there are huge number of elements available into the network. Then we also do some event and data analysis to get better insight about the network. And if there is any problem, we should enable with the help of closed loop automation platform to auto mitigate those problems. The last thing that is again in the telecom provider, we try to predict something like if there is any change into any component, what traffic parameter or what pattern will be changed into the network. So something like a Google map. So using graph neural network, we'll try to predict the effect of any change into the network parameter. So I'll touch upon all these subjects in the subsequent slide. Now is the scope in telecom service providers. So AI has a strong or a very huge scope in managing various components and various segments in service provider business, be it network, be it customer and customer satisfaction, and be it 5G. So very important point is like network and its security. So as my previous speaker has already told about the importance of security and certain measurements and tools and practices that can be done with the help of AI in making your network more secure. So those things, yes, these are in practice and we should be used with more accuracy for securing your network data as well as network infrastructure. Then it is also helping to predict the analysis, like if any component is doing well or if any component is not doing well. So what is the insight about and which all components are healthy, which all components are not healthy, so that you are well aware what is going to happen in your network, so that you take corrective actions before some degradation actually happens. Then it is also helping to planning, then traffic optimization, of course, in the operation as well. Then provisioning is very, very important because network is really big for 5G and 6G kind of 6G is yet to come, but for 4G and 5G kind of services. So the provisioning should be completely automated and AI driven. So it should automatically sense like some change is required here, change is risky. So it should be calibrated, well calculated and pre-planned. So with the help of AI, there also we get a lot of idea about what change should be done, what should not be done. So this should also get automated, and of course in the assurance side. Then, as I have mentioned, like robotic process automation is also helping the AI to automate many of the mundane tasks where human intervention is required. So this RPA can mimic human behavior and complement the system of AI to do a lot of tasks and speed up the overall process. AI is playing very significant role in customer management also for telecom service providers, knowing the subscriber life cycle, managing the subscriber life cycle, the subscriber churning, subscriber addition, then customer delight is very important. because that's the main thing which help the service provider to maintain the brand value. Also, it helps to understand the emotion of a customer or attachment of customer towards that brand. So that is very important. So AI is playing very important role into the customer service management. As I said, for 5G, yes, without AI and ML and RPA kind of technology and automated service and network provisioning, 5G expansion and maintaining the 5G network will be very difficult. So it is in use for many use cases for 5G network. In India, we are starting the 5G network. We are expanding. We have already launched and we are expanding in more and more cities. So the more and more we are expanding, the more and more data is coming. So understanding such a huge data is a challenge, and then processing, training, and then modeling on such huge data without a technology like AI, big data analytics is not possible. If, also the high-end computing is also required. So that's how it is playing important role in all these aspects. Now, these are some of the key stages in developing an AI system. For any AI or ML-based systems, the most important part is getting the data and storing the data, then also understanding what is right data and what is wrong data, so that we can garbage out the wrong data and we can take or consider the quality data. Because if the data is not correct and wrong data is fed into the model or into the AI systems, of course, the outcome will not be very good. So the prediction accuracy will be less, and the acceptability of that model and the outcome will be very less. So based on our experience in developing some of the AI or ML systems, we have seen that this data engineering part is very important, and it is the most time consuming phase of developing any AI system. So you take support of many programming languages, and data is not always uniform. Data has many types. Some are structured data, some are unstructured data. Then some data may get stored into a traditional RDBMS database. Some data cannot be stored into a traditional RDBMS database, for which you may need to have a no SQL or no traditional database like Elasticsearch or time series database or MongoDB kind of database or textual database or any other form. So AI system cannot be developed based on only one data. It consumes data from multiple sources collected by multiple near real-time collection mechanism. Just like Jayaram sir has mentioned, telemetry is one of the options which helps getting data into a streaming pattern which collects data like a water flow and data, and then storing the data is real-time processing, and storing the data is also important. So then with the help of modern collection mechanism, we can collect the data, and of course for storing and processing the data, we should take advantage of new technologies like big data analytics and some Kafka and Spark kind of technologies which help to process the data into a real-time manner. Then once you are able to collect, process, and store the data, next work is how to prepare the data for modeling. So in the preparation phase, you have to label the data so that you can know which is wrong, which is right, and you can filter out the wrong data. Then once all these things are done, you feed it to the model system. So you have choice of what type of model and what type of algorithm you want to select. Basically, it depends on the type of problem you want to solve it. So there are many models and algorithms available for AI and ML. So I'll in my next slides, I will share some of the algorithm that can be used in telecom service operator for solving different type of problems. These are some of the commonly used open source libraries getting used by AI and ML enthusiasts across industry. Uh, Many components are for supporting the supervised learning, some are for unsupervised, some are reinforcement learning. So AI is a very broad thing. It's collectively is collectively taking machine learning as well as deep learning together. So it's not like one library will fit for all. It's like depending on the type of problem that we want to solve, we may have to select that specific library and we have to code it to make it suitable to work in our use case. So as I said, some of the important like TensorFlow for deep neural network, similarly for PyTorch, Keras, NLTK, Spassy, NumPy, scikit-learn, bprofit, pandas is getting widely used as a data frame for analyzing the data. Matplotlib library for data visualization and C1 is also for visualization. These are commonly used libraries for AI and ML system. Next is the some of the real use cases of AI ML in telecom. As I said, it is getting widely used in network planning and optimization. So it is helping to predict the utilization. It is helping to build a closed loop automation platform. It is also helping to tell or detect any fault into the network. Then performance degradation, it can predict. It can also predict service degradation. Some anomaly is there or not, it can also tell. Then with the help of RPA, it can help to scale the network in a very speedy manner. Similarly, AI and ML is using in business and customer operations. So for operators, this revenue growth, subscriber churning, then detection of fraud, then profile management, customer delight is very important. So AI is getting used in network operation and planning, and AI is getting used for business and customer experience. So almost in all the important domain of business domain or network domain of telecom service operators, AI is getting used. This is further going deep into the network utilization prediction using ML. So in the network, we have, especially in the 5G, so network is huge. So network components talk to each other using their network connectivity. We call them network links. So network has radio components, network has physical IP components, network has international and national long distance fiber components. So there are various types of connectivities. We call them as radio links, MPLS links, or IP link, then NLD or ILD links. So measuring those links, how they are getting utilized and what should be the predicted utilization for any upcoming event is very important, so that we are well prepared for any event to happen. So we consider them as a special event like Indian Premier League. Then when people used to see the television or used to surf mobile, they see YouTube, they see news, all put load into the network links actually. So basically it puts some additional traffic into the network link. So monitoring is very important. So the surgical strike, then Chandrayaan telecast, some national event, for example, our PM speech on Independence Day, some national election results, some unpredictable events like Ukraine-Russia crisis, then COVID-19, work from home caused a traffic surge. Recently, this FIFA World Cup, all these things were special events. They were for some temporary duration. But yes, for that temporary duration, the network was really going high in terms of utilization. So prediction is very important because we do not know how much traffic is going to come. Are we well prepared to cater that traffic? If we are not well prepared, so what will happen? The user will face disturbance, he will get upset, or maybe he will miss some important information which is really important for him. So as an operator, the main focus is to maintain the stability and efficiency of the network. So for that, prediction of network components and network connectivities and its utilization is very, very important. This is a typical example of using supervised learning using linear regression, which is pretty easy compared to other complex AI systems. It can take data of previous 1 year or more than that. It can consider this as an historical data. Then it can understand like, okay, which all regions of India are, let's say, Jammu and Kashmir or Northeast, we see the network components are or the network connectivities are less stable compared to the other parts of the India because of flood or other earthquake or various other type of scenarios. So in that case, predicting network connectivity belonging to the devices of Northeast or those areas gives less accuracy, but the other links from other part of India like East, West and other southern part gives better accuracy. So before feeding the data, we some sort of clustering we do to categorize, okay, which all components and their connectivity are showing healthy pattern and which all components and connectivity belonging to which regions are showing unhealthy pattern. So accordingly, we feed the data into the ML system and we try to get the prediction. So it is considering if any link is or connectivity is exceeding 70% of the threshold, it can consider, okay, it's a rare thing. So if it is going beyond 70%, you should plan for additional capacity upgradation into the connectivity before actual traffic comes. So by feeding correct data, the accuracy can be maintained for more than 70%, 97% of the network connectivity links. These are some of the trends. Like as I said, let's say these are the number of core links. We can see in the left side the number of core links falling in 70 to 80%. Actual utilization is 74, and the number of core links falling in 80 to 90% utilization bracket is 25. Similarly, some 10 links are falling in actual utilization bracket of 90 to 100%. Now, how they will behave after 7 days? So that we see after 7 days in the right side graph, some 86 link will be utilized more than 70. So 86 link will be in this bracket, and some only 15 link will fall in 80 to 90 bracket, and only 3 link will fall between 90 to 100. So it's not always true that if the link is hovering or some connectivity is hovering today between 90 to 100, so tomorrow it will exceed 100. No, it could be due to some momentary spike or some disturbance into the other components of the network, which has caused this spike. So that spike could be true, that spike could be misleading, the spike could be temporary as well. So manually evaluating and understanding these many lakhs and lakhs of connectivity or links is impossible. So here AI and ML plays an important role. It studies the data, it gives the real picture, and it tells that, okay, which are the actual connectivity that should be considered for actual capacity upgradation. Because capacity upgradation is also a costly affair. You have to invest additional components, connect additional supporting SFPs for upgrading the network. So it's an investment. So if you do not have AI or ML like prediction system, so what you would have done, you immediately could panic by saying, okay, 10 links are hovering more than 90, I should immediately upgrade. But actually, they are not required to upgrade. We only need to upgrade 3 links here. So I am able to save some investment for 7 links here. Similarly, some 25 links are hovering between 80 to 90. So without ML, I would have planned for upgrading all the 25 links, but actually I need to upgrade only 15 links. Similarly, in the 70 to 80% bracket, I have enough time because they are not crossing the 80 or 90% boundary. I can see their graph for next couple of days, whether they are touching the 80 or not and how they are getting predicted. So my network optimization, network expansion, use of additional components, and investment for maintaining the network is really calibrated with the help of AI and ML system. Next is, as I said, and my previous speakers also have mentioned, knowing the data is very important before feeding the data into the ML system. So we should know, like, is the data good enough? Is it a garbage or some unhealthy data? Of course, if we feed some unhealthy data, then prediction is wrong. So the left side of the graph is telling some healthy trend of data based on 3 months or 6 month historical study of the data. So because the data is healthy, so the prediction is also showing much relevant to the actual incidence. But in the right side of the graph, we can see the data is very erratic. Some spikes are there, some downtrend is there. So so if that is the type of data, then prediction is also very difficult. So prediction is also showing this kind of behavior. So in the next slide, you can see in the trend 1, we see very stable and prediction of state slight upward trend, because the utilization is very healthy. Next is the trend 2, where again we see it is also very stable and prediction of a slight downward trend. So that means in the trend 1, so I can predict after how many days or how many months when the link will touch some 80% of the utilization. So I can plan my expansion or plan capacity optimization in a better way, in an informed way. And then in the trend 2, I know all what is going to happen with this link. So looking into the current trend and looking the history of this connectivity for last 1 year, I can say, okay, they are not going in an uptrend. So for the time being, I do not need to worry about capacity optimization of these connectivities. Similarly, in trend 3, we see it is again stable, but prediction of a flat trend. So they are running at some steady state. They will be continuing to run in the same stable state. Again, in the trend 4, it is stable and prediction of a flat trend. So these are, even if it is a healthy network connectivity, but trend could be different. So knowing the trend, understanding the inside, and taking a informed decision about future optimization of the network is very helpful and cannot be done, or I will say it's very difficult to do without AI and ML system. Here is the unhealthy link. We can see a lot of anomalies. These red dots are basically outliers which are not falling in the healthy range. So the trend 1 is saying multiple continuous anomalies with less deviation, and the model identifies anomalies and predicts with remaining data with 90% accuracy. So basically the ML model can, because it supports features, variations. So it can tell, okay, these are outliers. So it can identify those as anomalies and predict accordingly. So in the trend 2 also, we see multiple random anomalies with high deviation. So and then how it is predicting. In the trend 3 also, multiple. So these are various types of anomalies can happen in network components. So ML system can detect and sense that these are anomaly behavior, and the system itself can train it to predict the outcome of such unhealthy type of links as well. Then, as I was mentioning, the use of bot. So my previous speaker was mentioning about chat bot. So yes, bot is getting used for network also. We call it digital bots. If you use this bot concept into network, you can call it as NC bot, network centric bot. So what bot does? These are, we can call them as digital robots, which can mimic human activities and do very, very huge amount of task on a completely automatically without human involvement. Now, as we are moving from 4G to 5G, so network expansion is very, very important, and that too in a time-bound manner. So you have a target to launch 5G in next few months. So if you want to do manually by human intervention, so it's a very, very long process because you need to recruit this many people, you need to train them. So and it's a long process. So, but if you and these are mundane jobs, very repetitive type of tasks like connecting an equipment and then doing the basic configuration. We call it zero touch provisioning. So all these things can be done by machine. So the digital bot is helping here, and it is asking the human user to give input to the bot. Like, okay, this 5G expansion equipment is getting connected in this telecom circle. So that field engineer from that circle knows that device host name and its IP address. So it tell bot that I want to install this equipment. Please do the necessary task. So now, after getting the input from the respective circle or field engineer, it knows which device it has to work upon. So the digital bot has supporting NC bots, network centering individual bots. They are like digital workforce. They know what to do, how to digitize the configuration to install that new equipment of that specific circle, which was feeded as an input by that field engineer from that circle. So it does all the job automatically with the help of NC bots, and it does digitization. It also does installation, zero touch, everything it does. And finally, it tells that, okay, your equipment is ready. And now you can test it. If you find it okay, please you put traffic on that. So that is helping a lot in the 5G expansion. Now, what AI is doing, it's purely RPA here, it looks so. So AI is helping if the field engineer is sending some wrong data in the digital bot. So if AI is fed into the digital bot, it can see that the data is wrong. So it can interact back with the field engineer that you were supposed to put this as an input, but you have given some wrong data. Please correct it and send some right or corrected data. So that's how AI, along with RPA, robotics process automation, is helping to digitize and expanding the network from 4G to 5G in a speedy manner. So it is helping to scale the network in a high-speed way. Next is the use of a closed-loop automation platform. Now going forward, when we are touching the 5G domain, so managing network is very difficult because you have huge number of network equipment. Some are physical equipment, some are virtualized equipments, maybe in the cloud or some edge equipment. So how to understand, how to take decision, okay, something is wrong, something may happen in the near future, which can cause network and service degradation. Before that, if you can arrest that problem by touching that device and doing some corrective action, is very important. So the whole concept, we call it as a closed loop automation because it learns from the network, it decide, it detect, and it again touch the network, it auto heal or mitigate the problem. So you can see from the diagram, it is taking various type of data from fault management system, the configuration management system, and from the performance management system in the form of event log, syslog, telemetry data, traffic data, utilization data, packet information. Packet information means the packet loss, jitter, latency type of data. Then the data is getting into the ML engine. Of course, before ML engine, it goes into a data warehouse platform, and all the data merging, then data filtration, those things are done. After that, it goes into the ML analytics platform, where ML analytics platform can learn and tell us what are the possible anomalies available, and then it gives the anomalies as an input to a mitigation system, which actually is equipped enough to touch the network equipments and do the scheduled and corrective actions into the network components. So without human intervention, we can manage at least the L1 type of errors, which could lead to a L2 or L3 type of issues if are not addressed in a predictive way. So that is where ML is playing very important role in managing the network components in 5G. Next is config anomaly detection system. So clustering is also one of the important method used in AI and ML based systems. So when you have these many numbers of devices, especially in operators like Jio or other established operator in the country, so you have 5 lakh, 6 lakh or close to 1 million telecom equipments. So knowing what is the configuration into each of these device, because day by day network is getting old. So you may have a configuration which was essential 3 years back, may not be essential today because device itself is upgrading. The requirement is also getting changed. So new configurations are getting added. So and the old configuration should be deleted. But change is very risky. So over the time we experience or we see that many stale configurations remain into the network, which is not required, looking into the current situation and current services deployed into the network components. Now, auditing such a huge network, these many devices by connecting from a remote system is very difficult thing. If the numbers are less, yes, you can program it and you can connect each of these device using some program, and then you can tell, okay, this is my reference config and these many devices are not in sync with my reference config. But when the devices are in millions, then this kind of traditional comparison and audit mechanism does not help much. So here we need to understand what is the insight. How do they fall when we put some clustering or grouping into the set of network components. So based on the configuration, because network also has different type of devices. Some devices are catering to the radio part, some are into the IP and transport part. So even in IP, there are different layers like L2, L3, these type of layers. So understanding the device is very important. So we feed the device configuration into an ML system. We can use k-means clustering method to know which all devices are grouping together based on their similarities of configuration available into them, and how they are falling into different groups based on the dissimilarities among the two groups. Now, if you are using something like k-means clustering, so the K is a very important thing here, how to know the exact or correct number of K. So in ML, we know something called an elbow method for optimum number of clusters. So K is representing the number of clusters or groups where you are applying this algorithm. So using this in the left side, you can see this graph, it's like a human hand. So it tells actually when the sum of squared distances between two pointers are less. So that means we should not iterate it further. So looking into the graph, we can say like the pointers at 4 or 5 is the right number of clusters. So we can create maximum 4 or 5 cluster here to get accurate data. So that's how we can cluster the configuration of the network components to know how they are grouping together based on their configuration available into them. Then again, this is event and log analysis and auto mitigations is kind of the same closed loop automation, which also helps to predict a service degradation or network degradation. And it also helps us, okay, the network is now stable, it is now into a normal state, and it also will remain into the normal state for some time if the same trend continues. And it can also tell us for certain group of network elements, the normal state may not be maintained or the throughput may not be maintained. So it helps us to ensure like which region of my network. So we have around 28 telecom circles. So which telecom circles and the devices belonging to that circles are healthy? How are they going to behave in the near future? Where should I focus more for maintaining the network stability from a central location? So that gives me a single window view of the stability of the network and what will be the state of the network going forward, looking into the historical data, so that I can or we can sensitize the people into the respective circles where the network is predicted to behave in an abnormal way, so that they get better understanding about what is going to happen into their case and they can take corrective action before something goes wrong. Next is predicting the effect of a change in a link or a parameter. So this is graph neural network. So basically in the network, all traffic goes via links or connectivities. So if one link goes down, so what happens? That the traffic that was catering by that link shift to another link. So if any change, any fiber cut, any naturally calamity, earthquake cause any network issue, so that traffic actually cause some impact or into the other connectivities. But traffic engineering is a complex subject, so there are n number of links. So knowing exactly which link will cater the traffic that was going through another link which has recently gone an outage due to some reason, it's very difficult. So we cannot steer the traffic unknowingly. So we cannot steer the traffic unknowingly. So this is another domain where telecom service providers can work with the help of graph neural network to say that, okay, if that link goes down, what impact will have into the other links into the network. And if the impact is really bad, so they can steer traffic to some links where it will be evenly distributed. So that is another point where service providers can work upon. With this, I am concluding my session. Thanks a lot. Hello.
Yeah, thank you, Biswajit ji. This was a wonderful presentation. With this, we have come to the question and answer session. We have Saurabh, Basu ji and Biswajit ji with us. So participants, if you want to ask any question, please raise your hand or write in the chat.
Biswajit ji, something related to AI implementation in Jio towards customer churning or prediction of customer joining to the network. No churning is taking place at the moment, Jio with it, but the behavior of the customer who are there should not tend to churn out. So some analysis are being done on that portion also. You have shown a very good example towards the network. earlier we were just predicting कि अगर Happy New Year आएगा तो एक बार तो बैठ ही जाएगा network. We were just assuming, and we have passed so many years like that.
Right,
But now due to AI prediction, the links can be reoriented, reorganized. Whatever we were doing, everything was failing. But now the very fair analysis goes how to predict the link capacity at somewhere. I'll tell you an example. When we were deploying FTTH, we were not thinking that maximum responses will be from residential area. We were focusing on the this corporate area, high speed they will take. But the behavior of the customer shows that redeployment, we have to do redeployment of FTTH towards the residential area. Likewise, we deployed the network, but as many competitor comes, then it is the choice of the subscriber. So you cannot be happy always to have large number of customers. You need to analyze their behavior and keep them with you. So in AI model is also being implemented towards that.
Yes, sir. Thank you for this question, sir. It directly relates to the business model that service providers are doing today. It's a highly competitive market, and because service providers deal with the customers directly, so it's like a direct touch point. So maintaining the brand value by giving better service, safe and secure connectivity, and always up network. It's like 100% uptime without any issue is very important to get that trustworthiness from the end user. And without that, the service provider cannot maintain their upper hand into this business. So it's very important to know, like you have 40 crore customers or 50 crore customers. So how many of them are well satisfied, are taking recharges or prepaid top-ups regularly? How many of them are not doing so regularly? So what are the reason for that? If some set of customers, let's say 2 crore among the 40 crores are doing very random behavior, sometime recharging, sometime not doing. So the ML system helps to understand like what is wrong with these people. Are the competitor operator is maintaining better network state into that area? Are they giving better prices into that area? Or are the geographical or socio background is different? We have seen that in some part of the country, people use Facebook more than other part, right?
Yes.
So we cannot predict the general behavior. Maybe their students are more, or they are more into sharing the information with others. And in some other part, we see people are more busy in work. They hardly get time to spend into the social net. They also do it, but if you compare it like 20% versus 80%. So we see how they utilize the network. So network is collectively very broad. We all use network, but we use for different purpose. Some wants to maintain the network so that he can manage the work from home. So he wants high bandwidth. Someone enjoys watching videos sitting at home. They want high quality video. They want high quality internet connection so that they entertain themselves. So understanding user behavior and the pattern that they are using, what type of data they are using is very important so that we forecast what will be the future outcome if there is anything going wrong, because all are customers. There are varieties available, but all are important to us because they are revenue. And more into that, all are our citizens actually. So we also need to see how to, if there is any anomaly or any suspicious things which we see that we are lacking, and we also evaluate if competitor is doing well there. So we can forecast, we can predict what we should be the corrective action to be taken into that area before those subscribers get actually churned. So yes.
So you take help of AI tools there also.
Yes, sir. So because the data is very huge, so such a huge data cannot be done manually. So it definitely requires to collect the data in an efficient system which can real-time collect and process the data. Of course, such an efficient storage like big data type, big data analytics engine kind of a database system, and then ML-based algorithm to process such huge data, and of course, high efficiency computing resources to support ML algorithms. These four components are very, very important, are getting widely used in operators, at least the established operators.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for the answer.
Thank you, Biswajit ji.
Thank you, sir.
Dear participants, if anyone want to ask question, I'm not able to see any question in chat. If anyone want to ask question, you can raise your hand. We will give you rights to. So actually, we are also running late, so maybe some of the participants have already left. And there are no more questions. Thus, we have come to the end of today's webinar session. On behalf of NTI PRIT, I would like to thank our guest speakers for engaging us in insightful and informative session on application of AI in telecom. Thank you, dear sirs and ma'am, for sparing your time for this webinar. Special thanks to our DG and head of NTI PRIT, Sri Raju Sinha sir, for his constant guidance and support in organizing this webinar. Last but not the least, thanks to all the participants from different field units of DOT, TEC, TRAI, industry and academia for registering and joining today's webinar session. Your continuous support and engagement in all our events keeps us motivated to bring out more and more such events. Thank you, sirs and dear participants. Now with permission from DG sir, we may end this webinar. Sir.
Yes,
Yeah.
Siddharth. Thank you again, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.